Well, welcome to the extravaganza, the macro extravaganza volume 2. This volume, it's only about reversing rings. It got so complicated trying to put everything in, I'd have been here for 2 hours. So I should think by volume 10 we'll have finished it. Anyway, volume 2, reversing rings. Hope you enjoy it. Stop moving. It's moving, as you can see, but it's only the top one, doesn't matter. We're going to start with a standard 50mm lens on a 7D, which in fact means it's nearer a 65mm, of course. A little word about macro. What is macro? Very simple. It's generally considered because there's no written rule, that the size of the object should be the same size on the sensor to be macro or minimum macro, which means on this ruler I should be filling the frame with 22.3 centimeters. No, 22.3 millimeters. So if I'm filling the frame with that, I know I've got to macro. Of course, we can go a lot further, and we'll see how far we can go. We've got the measures, so we can really judge and really measure. Well, more or less. I must get a smaller chair. We've got the 50mm 1.8 on the camera. We've got it as close as it will go. Now, I'll give you accurate measurements on other lenses, but this one's about 35 centimeters. And we'll see the picture. As you can see, it's nowhere near macro. What have we got? About 14, 15 centimeters across the image. So we're a long way off the 2.2 we need to be considered macro. Let's try the reversing ring. Oh, as I said, we just screw it on the front. Now, firstly, I've never done it before, so we'll see what this looks like. We'll screw it on the front. And turn the lens, stick it on the camera. Well, I must say, it looks a bit odd. Oh, do you want to have a look? Look. Got to get it focused. Now, the only real way of getting it focused is to move the camera backwards and forward. Well, this is the picture that came from that. It's 9 centimeters between the subject and the lens. So there's still room to put light in very nicely. And we can see from this it's sharp. It's not too bad at all. I'm quite surprised. As we go into 100%, you can see that it's not that sharp. I'm not sure I want that stuck in my arm. What do I mean by 100%? Very simply, I've gone into Photoshop, I've blown it up to the 100% quality, and this is the reproduction quality you would get. But of course, don't forget, we all sharpen our images. So let's put an unsharp mask on this and we'll see what that looks like. Well, I think that's very good. For the price of a reversing ring, we can get very, very close. Now, I've seen reversing rings on eBay, and they vary from £2 to about £10. So I think that's not a bad deal. Wow, now I can hear you say, oh, that looks expensive, but let's have a quick look at the setup we've got before we start using the reversal ring on the longer lens. We've got, of course, the remote for firing the shutter. I always lift the mirror before in this situation. We've got the very cheap lens we bought. Better off buying a non-automatic one if you can, because you can change the f-stops without having to make a tiny little change. Most of the time with macro, you'll be focusing by moving the camera backwards and forwards. If you've got it on a tripod, it's much more accurate to be able to move it backwards and forwards. Like that. Don't know if you can see that happening. Just turn a knob and it moves backwards and forwards. It also allows you to block the lens, because you're not going to be touching the lens at all, you're just moving backwards and forwards, and that's going to stop any movement from the lens. So it allows you to do long exposures. Now that's perfect in the studio. I don't know outside You just have to, if you're on a tripod, I hope you're shooting with flash or a fast enough exposure. Not very nice light, is it? Let's get on. We've now got 22 centimetres between the needle and the lens. That enables us to do a lot more. Let's have a look at the quality. Well, at that size it looks fine. Now, what about the 100%? Well, it's not too bad either. Yeah, it's not too bad. Then we go on to the sharpened. Yep, okay. Now, what about going even closer? Because we've got 22 centimetres, we can now add to that, for example, an extension ring. Let's have a go. I've been a bit greedy here. We've got all 3 extension tubes on. What else have we got? We've got the lens reversed, of course. We've got the distance down to 12.5 centimetres, so there's still plenty of room for light. And look, that's what I use my step up and step down rings for. It's great for stabilising the lens when you've got it like this, particularly when you're shooting tungsten like I am. What has to be remembered is that with the tubes we're losing light. We're losing about 2 stops of light. That's not a problem, you just have to bear that in mind. The results are very good, considering that it's about £25 worth of equipment plus an old lens. So anyone can do this type of macro. Well, that was so difficult to film. But anyway, that's covered reversing rings. They're amazing quality. Don't forget one thing, and that is what you're seeing at 100% is a very small part of a very big print. So, don't forget to subscribe. Thumbs up as well. Bye.